Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another fast Descendant video. So I got a couple of comments in yesterday's video regarding the build for Blue Beetle, so I thought I'll make a short video here going over it. So Blue Beetle, I have two use cases. I use it with people like Sharon, with Bunny if you're using a crit build to get the extra critical hit rate increase when using a fusion skill. So on this occasion, it's mostly a stat stick. We don't really build it. And if you see here, when using a fusion skill, grants self the unique ability Arcane Energy. So when you use a fusion skill, it has a 100% trigger rate. You will get an increase to your critical hit rate for a duration of 10 seconds. That is the main use case for Sharon. Bunny, if you're using a crit build, you can also use it with Valby. So what this does is it'll just increase your critical hit rate. So at the moment you see this is 73.26. So we get a multiplicative of 115. So in other words, if it's 10%, you'll get 11.5% increase. If it's 20, you'll get 23% increase, and so on. So right now we have 73. If I use Sharon's first skill, which is the fusion type, like this. So for 10 seconds, you will get an increase. It goes up from 73 to 96. Okay, so that is the stat stick use case. For this one, you don't really need to build this. I have put 2 sprint scores so that I don't fall behind my teammates when I'm running around with Sharon or anybody else, even with Bunny. So you can just put the sprint course so that you're not too slow. The second and more popular use case these days is with Gley and in the wall crasher fight, because you can aim for the weak points and increase the fire rate of the gun, and you can destroy the wall crasher very, very quickly with the Blue Beetle with Gley. So this time we have to build the gun fully. And this has a very unique specific build just for the wall crasher. So let's start first with the options on the gun. We want firearm critical hit damage. We want additional weapon attack versus Colossus. Now this is important because if you don't have this, then you'll not be able to multiply anything with the extra cores or the Arche Tuning node. So you want to have the additional weapon attack versus Colossus in the options here. And then I have firearm attack, and then finally I have multi-hit chance. Now normally we don't build with both crit rate and multi-hit, but the gun has a bit of multi-hit damage, so adding a little bit of multi-hit chance will be useful because we have a high fire rate with Gley. We don't have to worry about ammo, and we are just spamming, so we will land some multi-hits as well, and then we'll just basically get some double damage on several occasions. So this actually makes a bigger difference than you might realize. Now, instead of firearm attack, you can also go for more weak point damage because we will be exclusively aiming and shooting at the weak point. You can also add some electric if you wanted, because that is the base element. But yeah, something like this where you have multi-hit chance, additional weapon attack versus Colossus. Those two are really important. The other two, you are a little more flexible. Now, onto the cores. We have fire rate in the free core. We have additional weapon attack versus Colossus in the orange one. Now remember the one below, if you see 8823, that is a plus. And over here, this is a multiplicative with the 550% X. So if you don't have that, this will still turn out to be 0. So if you are using this, make sure you have that. Then in the element, we have electric attack. In the green one, once again, we have another fire attack, and try fire rate and try to get to 20% if you can. And then in the yellow one, you have recoil. Because we are not running around or using anything, we're just going to put recoil just to make our life a little easier. On the inside with the build, we are going to use weak point, crit damage. We are using sharp precision shot and fire rate to increase the fire rate. And then one firearm attack mode, we are using action and reaction because that gives us the highest value. We are not using rifling reinforcement. So yeah, so that is basically the setup here. So weak point here, 2 of the crits here, 2 elements here, sharp precision, concentration, fire rate. Very simple setup. Now let's have a quick look at Gley as well, because this is slightly different compared to the usual restored relic build. What we want is short focus here. This will give us another firearm attack damage of 15%. Not a huge deal, but you can put it there because with Gley, once you have 35,000 HP, you have reached your maximum, HP scaling with the firearm damage. And yeah, the other two things you want is your duration to be higher than your cooldown. So as you can see here, I have a 12.2 second cooldown 21.4 second duration. So you are good. So yeah, stim accelerant HP. So this will increase her HP. I have short focus here, MP conversion, nimble fingers. I have extension for more duration, maximize duration. Again, range and things like that don't matter. Shield conversion, I've just put it there because there isn't much else I can do. So I've just increased her defense further. She doesn't have shields anyway. So this will just make her very tanky. And then we have weak point analyst and Kuiper hollow the trigger. Now, you don't really need trigger modules and the weak point analyst because this goes with this for this particular setup because we are exclusively aiming for the weak points. So this works well when you are hitting anywhere besides the weak point. So this is something I have for the restored relic. You don't really need it. But on the rare occasion where, let's say, the wall crasher is moving around too much and you miss a few shots at the weak point, it'll just give you a few stacks. And then when you go back and hit the weak point, you'll do a bunch of extra damage. And then you'll be back doing damage on the weak point. So you can leave it there because, again, we don't really have any other mods to use. For the Ancestors module, it's again very, very simple. More HP, more duration. Those are the only two things you need. Even with HP, if you are getting up to 35,000, you don't need HP either. But we only use HP here to get that 35,000. And then more duration will just make your life easier. You won't have to activate your skills frequently. So as you can see over here, I'm at 21.4 with the duration. That is plenty, as long as it's more than the cooldown. Now for the external components, I'm using two pieces of the Firebrand, the auxiliary power and the sensor. With the sensor, I am missing out on the HP because it has max shield, but that is how the thing is set up. I want these two for the duration here. So you can see here, two set effect, we get the 6.5% duration. That is very handy. So I'm taking these two for that. And then we have two pieces of the Shell Crusher. These are for the HP as well as the fire rate, the 5% increase to the fire rate. This will be very handy. Reactor is materialized phase reactor. Again, you don't really have to get a specific reactor. You just want the two options for cooldown and duration and make sure to enhance them fully, because we get about 10.6% extra duration here. Arche Tuning is again a little different this time because this is for the Blue Beetle and not the Restored Relic. So over here we take these two. These two help me get to 35,000 even with all the other HP. And then we go this way, we take the accuracy, we take the purple enhanced one. We go up, we take the 3 advantage affinity ones. Not really useful for us against the wall crasher, but we need something to connect. We do want the Colossus ones. Now, like I said, if you have Colossus damage on the option, you will see this here. Now, if I bring out the other Blue Beetle, so if you see this one, so this one here, as you can see, I don't have the additional attack versus Colossus. If I was to go here, you will see I'm getting 0. So this will not apply if you don't have it on the option. This is what I was talking about earlier. So go back to the Blue Beetle that has the thing. So back here. So we take these, we take this purple one, we take the crit rates, we take the crit damage, we take the golden one, we take the purple one. So as much power as you can. And this will be good enough for you. Besides that, inversion reinforcement is not even really that important. You can take the strike point amplification. So when you land a multi-hit with a firearm, you'll do more weak point damage. So we have that multi-hit chance on the option. So this will come in handy there. And besides that, you can have some HP and reduce your incoming damage. And that will be good for Gley. You can go with the Hagio Sheepdog for more HP. And yeah, that is the build for the Wall Crusher. And with the fight itself, you basically, very simple as always, you activate your first skill, activate your third skill, aim for the weak point, and just keep fighting. And then as soon as your skill runs out, you do it again. You can see how quickly we are taking out the shield of the Wall Crusher, and we are just alone in the lab here. So if you go in a public lobby with about several other Gleys, sometimes you have 8 Gleys in there. My fastest clear times have been about 11 seconds if there are 7 other Gleys with the Blue Beetle. So you can see with one duration, we have taken out the entire shield and about 20% of the health as well. Yeah, so that is basically the simple setup for the wall crusher. And yeah, currently this is the fastest way to farm the wall crusher and get a bunch of the trigger mods. I got kind of lucky yesterday. I got several rounds where I got the 22 drops of the trigger mods. But anyway, that is it for this Blue Beetle video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.